So Annie, take me back to the very kind of beginnings of when you started playing in front of people or writing your own songs. What were the surroundings of that time?
Well, I mean, the very beginning, I started playing guitar when I was 12, and I'm from the suburbs of Dallas, Texas, and I started gigging around a little bit, playing in Iron Maiden cover bands and playing bass. Then I went off to college in Boston at Berkeley, and I left college pretty quickly thereafter, to the dismay of my parents. And I was like, I'm going to go to New York City and make it, because that's what people with no money do, is they just show up and New York City just embraces you with open arms. No, that doesn't happen. That didn't happen, and that does not happen. So I moved back to Texas. Let's move back in with my parents. It was sort of like, oh, I had dreams and now they're gone. And but then just probably 3 weeks after I moved back to Texas, I got a call to audition for the Polyphonic Spree. So I did that and joined that band for a couple years, and was working on my own record at the time. And then I got hooked up with Sufjan Stevens and played in his band for a little bit because he had heard the record that I made. And while I was on tour with Sufjan in London, the people from 4AD Records saw me open for him, and I already had my first record, "Marry Me," made, and they wanted to put it out. So.
Was it cool, to have that vindication of being like, yes, I actually can do the whole make it thing now on my own, and it isn't just about being in bands and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I moved back to New York just a couple years after I had first gone there, and really, I mean, let's just be blunt, failed, and it was nice to be like, oh, okay, I have a career, I have something going on.
In terms of your own music, and 3 very substantial pieces of work in terms of the albums, how has playing with other musicians and other bands informed your own stuff, be it musically or sentiment-wise or anything else, or has it at all?
Well, I think that it's important for me to put on a good show, and not just a show that has some theatricality to it and has some dynamism to it visually. And so we've worked with a lighting designer for this tour and kind of come up with this op art concept. And I think I saw, playing in bands, polyphonic and playing with Sufjan, that I think that sort of thing is necessary to kind of heighten the drama of a show.
I mean, would you see yourself as a visual person first and foremost?
Actually, yeah. I do have musical training. If somebody asked me to write a chord chart or something, like, oh, okay, I could do that. But I actually don't think of music in those terms at all. I tend to, because I have been playing guitar for 17 years of my life, it's all very just intuitive, and I tend to kind of think more in terms of a color palette and a shape in music than notes. I'm not very good at thinking about music in that way. And with my second record, Actor, my process for writing it was to watch some of my favorite films and then try to reimagine a score to them, so that they sort of follow this follow this kind of character arc or this dramatic arc within a scene, and kind of see where that got me. Just as a writing exercise, and it ended up really informing the whole record.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very specific kind of writing format, I suppose. But in terms of, like, generally, if something is quite embryonic and you're starting out doing it, is writing, like, lyrically for you, is it an escapist thing or is it more an anchoring thing?
Well, I think it's, I find that the most powerful things that resonate with me are often things that I'm very absent-minded. I'm almost just sort of subconsciously letting things come out, and things come out that I sort of in my conscious mind wouldn't have put together, and things that you go, oh, okay, actually that's quite an emotional, insight, and not to be, so like solipsistic or self-aggrandizing, but there's like whoa, this is how I feel about this. I wouldn't have let myself know that, or I wouldn't have kind of.
So is it a cathartic thing for you?
Yeah, there's nothing else. There's nothing else to me that is so satisfying. It starts with this kind of like almost image or color palette, and then you get in there and you start to really craft a song and see it take shape and try to get out of the way of it, as it's unfolding, and let it kind of be what it wants to be. And then at the end of the day, or the end of the week, or however long it takes, you have something, like you've made something, and that's just fundamentally satisfying.